I'm trying to look professional. Is it working? Hi, my name is Emma Tobias, and this week I embarked on a very special journey about friendship, and taste, and frustration, and love. You guys might know this, but my greatest enemy and most ardent lover, Emma.
Hi Emma, it's Emma. Hi Emma, it's Emma. I have done this entrance so many times and I can't do it without laughing.
From Drinking by Myself and I have sort of this tumultuous relationship of love and hate, and we thought to really bring it home we would create a challenge for ourselves to test that. We chose a genre and picked 3 different types of media: movies, songs, books, and then from each genre we chose a piece of media that we loved and a piece of media that we hated. And the other person had to figure out which one that person hated and which one that person loved, while also going through their own experience of love and hate. This sounds very complicated, but in reality it's really not that complicated. So I've already completed this challenge, but I don't still know what Emma's thoughts are, and you will see my reaction towards the end of the video. But let's talk about how it went. Let's talk about it, and I'll show you some fun vlog footage on the way. Well, we chose the genre of romance for this first round of this love-hate challenge. Start off pretty easy, the songs. Now, we chose 2 love songs, and this was, I think, probably the simplest part of the challenge, obviously, because love songs are everywhere, and you've heard most of the famous ones. The 2 love songs she chose for me to listen to were Something Stupid, most notably sung by Frank Sinatra, and You're Beautiful, sung by our indie sad boy, OG, James Blunt. Now, here's how it went with me listening to Something Stupid, which was a mere probably 10 minutes ago. I know this song pretty well.
I know I stand in line until you think you have the time to spend an evening with me and come true. And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like I love you.
As you can tell, I like Something Stupid. It is a song that I have known for a really long time, probably since my childhood. I like old standards, and that was the one that I liked the most out of the 2. And you can tell from the goofy reaction I have to You're Beautiful by James Blunt.
My life is brilliant.
Life is brilliant, man. I hate that. I hate that it does that, and then it's just this.
Keep on night, 'cause I've got a plan. You're beautiful.
Song that I can appreciate for its corniness, but I don't really like it because I don't like James Blunt's singing voice. However, while my ranking stand as Something Stupid is better than You're Beautiful, I think Emma's favorite of the 2 is You're Beautiful by James Blunt, because I just feel like she would enjoy the fact that it is ridiculous and the fact that it's kind of like a song that gets made fun of a lot, and I think she'd find Something Stupid kind of boring and weird and not really a love song, and that's my prediction. So we will see if I am right next.
Songs. I gave you the options of the songs You're Beautiful by James Blunt and Something Stupid by, well, there's loads of versions. I can't remember which version I told you to listen to, but let's say like the Sinatra version. I hate the song Something Stupid with a passion. I always have. I remember when I was younger and the Robbie Williams and Nicole Kidman version was like always playing on the radio on repeat, and it drove me mad. It is so sickening. Everything about that song is like sickening and makes my skin crawl and is annoying. Whereas the song You're Beautiful, a song that is hated the world over by so many people, I don't get it. It's beautiful. It's a lovely song. I also just love James Blunt in every way. I think he's great. I think all of his songs are brilliant. I think his album Back to Bedlam is one of the best albums that has ever existed. And the song You're Beautiful is fucking beautiful. I will never understand. Will never understand the James Blunt hatred.
I nailed that. I nailed that. I nailed it. I nailed it. I nailed it. The next category was the movie category, the film category. The 2 movies Emma chose, I hadn't seen either one of them, which was pretty great. The first one was The Two-Night Stand, and the other film was Martha Meet Frank, Daniel, and Lawrence, but in the US it's called The Very Thought of You. You don't know what these are about. Two-Night Stand is about this hookup situation where this girl just wants to like have a one-night stand with this guy that she meets online, and because of a freak snowstorm that hits New York City, they are trapped together. However, they don't really like each other, and then it's them kind of getting to know each other and falling for each other, as you can imagine. The other movie, The Very Thought of You, or Meet Martha, Meet Frank, Daniel, and Lawrence, is about a young woman who has all these happenstance encounters. Martha is an American who has moved to London kind of on a whim. So those are the two plots. So I watched The Two-Night Stand first. God. I'm gonna watch The Two-Night Stand on Amazon Prime for free, so that's good. All right. I don't like this movie. That's my prediction. Or I feel very mediocre about it. Oh my gosh. We barely made the cutoff. LOL. No, we were fine. We were totally fine. Okay.
I just got off the phone with Butcher. I think something might be wrong.
This isn't the movie. This is The Boys. It's only an hour and 26 minutes. We love a short film. No. The woman from Gossip Girl. Wow. This is such a... When was this made? A 2014 movie. That's why Miles Teller and the girl from America's Next Top Model and the girl from Gossip Girl are in this movie. Kid Cudi? Kid Cudi? This movie is a time box for 2014. The clothes, the music, the fashion, the actors, as I previously mentioned, the writing, the vibe, the fact that the main character is a quirky indie girl who has been heartbroken by some generic white man, is gonna fall in love with another generic white man who is Miles Teller. I don't like this movie. I don't like it. A lot of internalized misogyny happening, but it's not really internalized because this is written by a man, right? I have no idea until I watch the second movie, though, if this is the movie that Emma hates or this is the movie that Emma likes. I have a feeling she doesn't like it. Okay, I finished it. I'll talk about it in the wrap-up. And that's how that went. As you can tell, I freaking hated this movie. I thought it was so bad. There was a lot of, like, weird sexism and misogyny and slut-shaming and fat phobia in this movie. It was very 2013 in a way that I wish I did not have to ever think about again. I just didn't like it. I didn't find the characters charming. I didn't think the writing was good. You can tell it was written by a man and directed by a man. And I just overall really did not like it. So, however, I still wasn't really sure if that was going to be the movie that Emma hated until I watched The Very Thought of You, which I watched today. And that's how this went. And I'm going to embark on the journey of watching the second movie that Emma gave me to watch. Two-Night Stand did not go well. As you now know, I hated it. And I don't think Emma liked it. But I have good feelings about this one. The release date in America was 2006, even though the movie in the UK came out in 1998. I don't understand, but it's on Amazon, because I have CBS All Access, because of Star Trek and Survivor, so thank God for that. I've never heard of this movie. It has Monica Potter, who was on Parenthood, and Joseph Fiennes, who I guess is Ray Fiennes' brother? Alrighty, so I'm only 4 minutes in, but I think this is the movie Emma loves. I'm enjoying it, these first 4 minutes, more than I enjoyed the entirety of Two-Night Stand, so. I finished The Very Thought of You / Frankie blah la 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 la. I really liked it, and I feel like this is totally the one that Emma loved. The dogs are barking. So I will let future me talk about this in the wrap-up. I actually really liked The Very Thought of You. I thought it was really charming. I love movies set in London because I love being in London. It makes me think of Emma, which is so nice. I like the way that the writing moved so quickly and how you didn't really know what was going on. I thought that Monica Potter as the main character was incredibly charming, and that Joseph Fiennes was incredibly charming as like the main male character. I really, really enjoyed it. It was like fast and quick and so fun. And while it has the same runtime as the Two Night Stand felt 3 hours longer. So now I kind of quickly realized that I feel like Emma really likes The Very Thought of You or Martha Meet Frank, Daniel, Lawrence, because it just feels like a movie she would enjoy. It's a late 90s movie. It's set in London. It feels like something she would enjoy in like a nostalgic way, versus I think she hated The Two Night Stand. So let's find out if I was right.
Movies. I told you to watch the movies Two Night Stand and Martha Meet Frank, Daniel and Lawrence. So, let me tell you, Two Night Stand was one of the worst things I've ever seen. I hope you felt the same way. This was just like the two most unlikable people in the world trapped in a room together. I'm just gonna like give spoilers here, and Emma, you can cut them out if you don't want to have spoilers in the video, but I just need to discuss this with you anyway. So the girl seems like she's the worst for like the most of the movie. The guy seems really sweet and the girl is just awful, and you're like, what is your problem? But then suddenly, in what's supposed to be like this romantic gesture, the guy gets her put into prison as like a way of getting her number, and that is like full psychopath stalker behavior. But she's just like, oh, that's funny. Like, she's mad, and he's like, oh, you'll find this funny one day. And then literally like 5 seconds later she starts laughing and she's like, I do find it funny. And then they get together. You know what? Fine, because they deserve each other, because they're both fucking idiots. On the other hand, Martha Meet Frank, Daniel and Lawrence is one of the best films I've ever seen. I watch this movie at least once a year and I love it more and more every time. It is so clever. The twists and the turns. Did you see them coming? Did you see that end reveal coming? Did you see who Joseph Fiennes was actually talking to coming? Did you see any of that coming? No, because I didn't. The only downside of this movie is that Joseph Fiennes' character is like so unbelievably wet. He is just like the worst character. He does nothing. He has no personality and he's not interesting. So that should kind of ruin the movie, but somehow it doesn't, because I love the format so much. I love Rufus Sewell in it so much. I love Tom Hollander, is that his name, in it so much. He is so funny in this movie. I just love the format. I love so much about it.
I knew it. I knew she was gonna hate Two Night Stand because it was such a crap movie, yeah. And I felt really confident about the movie section, so I feel pretty good about that. Pretty good. Two Night Stand was one of the worst rom-coms I've ever seen. It shouldn't even be called a rom-com. It was just garbage. And then finally, the book category. The two books that Emma gave me to read were Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid and The Coincidence Authority by John Ironmonger. This was probably the most difficult category for me to figure out, and I'm still not at this very moment sure of which one she hated and which one she loved, because I had very mixed feelings about both of these books. The first book that I read, I listened to an audiobook as I was on Scribd, and that is Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Going into this, I felt like she probably really liked this because I know that she likes Taylor Jenkins Reid, but it also felt like I wasn't completely sure because she has such mixed feelings about Taylor Jenkins Reid. So basically, Maybe in Another Life is about a young woman who has basically mucked it all up in her life in New York, and she's like lived at all these different places and is very transient and very unhappy, so she moves back to LA to live with her best friend and kind of figure out her life. But something happens that changes the course of her life, and you see how that event went one way or it could have gone the other way, and you see these two different timelines across her life. Anyway, this is how it went. And I'm gonna start Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. What I didn't know about this audiobook, besides that it's 9 hours, which is, I think, a good audiobook length, is that it's narrated by Julia Whelan. And if you didn't watch my last video all about audiobooks, you would know that Julia Whelan is one of my favorite audiobook narrators. So that's a very exciting development. I'm on chapter 7. I went in knowing nothing about this book, which was kind of the point. And let me tell you, meh. Basically, it falls in the category of a kind of contemporary general fiction novel that I hate, which is broken white lady who doesn't have a personality except for that she is broken, which is what I am getting here. I do like the writing because I think Taylor Jenkins Reid is a fabulous writer, and I also find Julia Whelan during the narration wonderful as always. I have 6 hours left of Maybe in Another Life, and it took a turn. I did not expect this to be like an alternative life, multiple universes kind of story. I have a preference on the one that I like more, so that's interesting. I don't know, it's like okay, like I think it's really gripping because I think Taylor Jenkins Reid writes very well and very interestingly, and I am liking the main character more than I did when I was talking about it last night. But I'm still just like, I don't like that kind of trope. I just find alternative histories to be, or like alternative timelines to be so frustrating to read, and like I don't enjoy them. But this one isn't too bad, but I also am not enjoying it. But also I am enjoying it. I have 3 hours left of Maybe in Another Life, and I'm really enjoying it now. I really didn't like it at first, and then I was uncomfortable with the concept, and now I'm enjoying it. It's the next morning, and I finished Maybe in Another Life. Yeah, and I will talk about my thoughts, my final thoughts, in the wrap-up. As you can tell, I kind of warmed up to the book the more that I was reading it, and then now it's been a few days, and I think I generally liked it. I mean, it's a solid, like, 3-star read for me. I thought it was interesting and sweet, although I felt it was pretty preachy, and I felt like it was a little twee and too on the nose at times, but I overall, like, enjoyed it, and I was very gripped through the entire experience. It just wasn't, like, incredible. I never want to have to read a book where the main character is so interested in cinnamon rolls ever again, because guess what I had this morning? Cinnamon rolls, and I think it's because of this book. Someone from the cinnamon roll companies need to write Taylor Jenkins Reid a check. The other book that Emma had me read was The Coincidence Authority by John Ironmonger. This book is kind of similar in a lot of ways in the kind of idea of coincidences or timelines as Maybe in Another Life, which is probably on purpose. I think Emma probably paired them together, maybe, I don't know. But it's about this guy, this professor type dude who studies coincidences, and he meets this girl who has had all these crazy coincidences in her life, and who's had all this tragedy, and he falls in love with her, and he tries to help her figure what all of that means. And also it's a book really about philosophy, I would say, at its heart. Neither one of these books I feel like are true blue romances, but I didn't think they were going to be, so they were about as romantic as I expected them to be. And this is how it went reading The Coincidence Authority. I went outside to get a package. Quite a cute cover. This did have to come via a very specific vendor on Amazon, because it's a UK only book, I do believe. But yeah, I'll start this evening and get through this out. So it's very nice fall weather, and I'm reading the book. I read a chapter last night, and it was very intriguing. So it seems like this is, I don't really know what this book is about, but it has a trope that I like, which is a narrator, like a strong, sort of whimsical narrator. So that's exciting. I feel like this is the book Emma loves because there's sort of a Mamma Mia plotline happening. I know how much she loves Mamma Mia and how much I love Mamma Mia. I really am enjoying it, but I will say there is a lot of talk of mission trips, and I can't find the thread of the criticism that I'm looking for. Like, talk about mission trips, that's fine, that's an interesting topic, but at the same time, make sure that you throw in criticism, because they're not great, they're bad. So I don't know if it's like the tone of the book, I don't really know, maybe it'll happen, but I want to like see some self-awareness about how harmful mission trips are. It's just what I would like to see. I'm doing my best to finish this book. This is where I'm at. I really wish there was an audiobook of this. Enjoying it okay. I liked it more when I first started it. I'm starting to like it less, and I'll tell you why. I brought this up last night, but there's a lot of talk about mission trips, about a mission specifically in Uganda that is an integral part of the story. And while there's a lot of research happening, obviously, and historical background, This book is written by a white man. The book is not addressing the colonialism that's so inherent with these missions that occur. I mean, there's just colonialism. So I'm having a lot of trouble with those parts of the book. I tried looking one more time to find an audiobook. You literally cannot get this audiobook in the US. I'm so bored! Things only an old white man would say in a book. Azalea Lewis still possessed the willowy frame of the 13-year-old Azalea Foley. Okay. There it was again, a musky, feminine odor, unfamiliar in the dank masculinity of his room. I really changed my mind about this book. Just a full 180 from yesterday. I use the word see the way a blind person uses it, the same way Locke uses the word. Of course he would never see either of us, but he still wanted to see his daughter as a blind man does. Not only is that a bad sentence, it's also, in my opinion, although I'm not an expert, feels like there's a lot of ableism happening. Azalea pushed back her seat, kicked off her unsuitable shoes, and put her bare feet up on the dashboard, for Thomas was an unnerving distraction, although politeness intervened to prevent him looking too directly at Azalea's feet, or from watching the way she would twiddle her toes, or from observing the way that her second toe seemed so much longer than her first. Neither did he notice the faint, but slightly intoxicating odor or the soft curve of her ankle. That's gross. Is he Quentin Tarantino? 10 or so pages left. And the mission stuff finally had a resolution, or some level of criticism, which at the end of the book, many years later, the mission is turned into like a rehabilitation center, a rescue center. And the guy who was running the mission earlier in the book is like, I think we were part of the problem. You know, all the missions in Africa were part of the problem. So, I mean, that's something. And I appreciated that finally coming in at the end of the book. At least having some form of criticism. But I'm almost done, so I'm going to finish reading. I finished the book. I'm going to talk about it later this evening when I do my wrap-up. My relationship to reading The Coincidence Authority was a roller coaster. While my liking of Maybe in Another Life kept going up, I would say, at like a pretty steady trajectory, and by the end I enjoyed it for the most part. The Coincidence Authority was totally this. I felt like the writing at times was ableist. I felt like until the very, very end, the entire plot line of the mission, there was not enough criticism with the colonialism factor to it, and we just got a paragraph at the end of being like, yeah, this was like a mistake. And then you have this other thread where like the main character is manic pixie dream girling the girl that he meets. There's just some levels to it that didn't work, that it felt like an old white man wrote it, and I didn't enjoy it, and I had a lot of problem with it. But I will say the plot was very gripping and very exciting, and I felt like I was pulled in pretty hard. I just would say that I don't like reading books from old white guys for the most part, and that's probably a big part of it. So, this was really difficult to choose which one she liked and which one she didn't, and I really don't feel confident. I'm gonna say that because of the thriller-ish kind of excitement aspect, that she liked The Coincidence Authority because it was very exciting. And I'm gonna say she thought Maybe in Another Life was boring and dry and like too preachy for her. And that's what I'm gonna guess. And let's see if I'm right.
For books, I told you to read Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid and The Coincidence Authority by J.W. Ironmonger. And let me tell you, I loved Maybe in Another Life. I thought it was fab. I read this one, to be honest, I read both of these like 5+ years ago, so I don't remember them great. It's possible that I would feel differently if I read them now, but it was really fun. It just felt quite like tongue-in-cheek, so from what I remember of it, and I don't want to give spoilers, but I liked that it kind of subverted that idea of fate and the universe like conspiring to have you meet somebody. It was quite like a tongue-in-cheek approach to that, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was sweet. I thought it was like Sliding Doors, but without Gwyneth Paltrow in it. Was my camera just focusing on my plant that whole time instead of my face? That's Tiger Queen, my plant, and she is trying to steal the attention from me. Yeah, basically I loved it. I thought it was really fun. The Coincidence Authority, on the other hand, I thought was a pile of trash. So this isn't a romance. It's kind of stretching our theme of romance, but it is about love and a love story. And this one, again, so both of these had in common the theme of fate and coincidences and the universe pulling you in one direction or the other. But the Coincidence Authority was just like, it didn't make any sense. From what I remember when reading it, I was just so frustrated because I didn't understand what the book was trying to argue. I didn't understand what the book thought a coincidence was. Like, was it saying a coincidence is a magical thing, or is a coincidence just like, that's a coincidence, it's just like a thing that happened, wow, what a coincidence. I felt like it kept changing its mind. It just made no sense. It was just like listening to people go in circles in their thoughts, which is what I do in my head all day long anyway, so I didn't need to read about it. I just remember being so bored and being really disappointed because I thought it was cool. The main girl was called Azalea. At that point I hadn't heard of Azalea Banks, so I thought that Azalea was just like this new name I'd never heard of, and I wanted then to love it because she was like cool and quirky with a cool name, and I didn't. I thought it was boring.
Wow. Okay, so I feel like a fool. I had not thought about all of the plot holes or like the theory holes with the whole coincidence thing until now. So good on you. Yeah, I did not, as you can tell, I had a very bumpy ride in my enjoyment of that book, and I did find it in that one clip that I showed very boring at times. So I'm glad that we have the same feelings, but I feel bad that I was wrong. Although I felt like I really did enjoy Maybe Another Life, so I should have just gone with that and been like, that's the one she likes because I liked it, but I overthought it. That's your number, girl. In music and in movies, I was wrong about the books. That was the love-hate challenge. I think at some point we're gonna do this again. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was so much fun. I would recommend doing this with like people in your life, especially with like social distancing and like quarantine. Like, do this with your friends because it's pretty funny and fun. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Emma, love you. Have a lovely day.